Welcome back to AmityCast, where, we live in a world where people just don't seem to appreciate any unconventional jab at filmmaking. Welcome, I'm Ellis. Who are you again?
Joe.
Alright, well, today we are here to discuss some things, but first I just gotta say, we gotta give it up for Tom Hanks. He is just on a roll. Got nominated for 2 Razzies in the
Holy
same year,
shit.
which is pretty impressive. Uh, I think he has 2 different nominations for Worst Actor, I think. Oh no, it's Worst Actor and Worst Supporting Actor, I believe.
Is it for fucking Elvis and Pinocchio?
Yeah, it's for Elvis and Pinocchio. I just watched A Man Called Otto, and it's very generic and cliche, so he's on a roll right now. Tom Hanks is killing it.
He's got Toy Story 5 lined up.
That's true. Toy Story 5 is in development.
Yay.
Well, we haven't. Okay, I just realized we haven't recorded in a while. I didn't even think about because we could also. I mean, the Oscar nominations came out since the last time we recorded,
Oh.
and I'll just briefly touch on that because some of them are really, really bad, and some of them are really good, as per most years. Yeah, these are the nominees for Best Picture. Okay, Everything Everywhere All at Once, based. The Banshees of Inisherin, also based. Triangle of Sadness, again based. All Quiet on the Western Front, haven't seen, heard great things though. Tar, also haven't seen, but I've heard great things. Women Talking, I don't even know about that one, but that starts to get a little weird because there's Top Gun Maverick, which was good, but like it's kind of weird to be a Best Picture nomination. The Fablemans, which was very mid. Avatar: The Way of Water, also very mid. Elvis, which sucked. I don't get that one. Elvis, nominated for Best Picture. It's like Don't Look Up last year. It's like, why would that ever be nominated? But then the only thing I really care about, Brendan Fraser got nominated for Best Actor, and I hope he wins because he was incredible. Loyal, so.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might get snubbed, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he or Colin Farrell. If either of those two don't win it, I will be very upset. So.
Yeah, I don't know why Avatar got nominated, to be honest.
Yeah, no, Best Picture, really?
Best effects,
Did
sure.
the first Avatar I think was nominated for Best Picture, and this year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we already know. I think Everything All at Once will probably win. So,
I don't know. I'd probably consider it a long shot to win.
I don't know. I don't really
Good
care.
chance the Fablemans
I don't really
does.
care
Everybody
anymore.
likes the good ones.
The Oscars kind of suck. Except when, like, there's, like, physical abuse on stage.
Yeah, that was pretty hype last year. I wonder what they'll do this year to keep it going.
You know they're gonna make really cringy jokes about it, right?
Of course, they always do.
I heard they're making another Bad Boys though, so I'm glad Will Smith recovered.
Yeah, thank God that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are returning for another Bad Boys because all of them were so great that we need more.
A lot of people like the last one. I remember.
Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah, I think it was because it was the only thing that came out right before global pandemic.
Yeah, that movie was terrible. That was really bad. But the other Bad Boys movies aren't very good either. So I mean, it's not like it's groundbreaking news or anything.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to talk about our first topic for tonight?
Well, I guess we could talk about one of the most interesting movies I've ever seen, and also one of the most polarizing in culture right now. One that the vast majority of people will tell you is terrible, and there's a select few who kind of appreciate it. So, I don't know. It's really weird to talk about, but um,
Yeah, I
it's
thought
very, it's a
after I
very
watched
weird.
this, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. Um, honestly,
Maybe
I've
have a
watched quite a few
feeling.
videos about like their own theories about it. It's kind of an interesting movie to watch other people's opinion on. Because I haven't really seen any like similar opinion through each person I've hear talk about this movie. Um, it's definitely experimental. I think it was like $15,000, something like that.
Yeah,
I
around
think,
15K for the budget.
and yeah, it's definitely made its money back. Uh, Pretty sure this is a first-time director as well. Um,
Yeah, I think this is his feature length
yeah, I know
debut.
he's been doing YouTube stuff for a while, but
Yeah, he's known for like short films that are based on people's ideas of nightmares. Basically, is what he's done.
yeah,
This is his feature length.
this was also filmed in his childhood house, I believe.
Yeah, it was his childhood home, which made it even more. It's a very personal movie for him. Which I was able to feel a lot, which is a big part of the reason of a big part of like what like kept me interested throughout. It's really interesting because obviously it's very experimental. It's almost entirely atmosphere. There's not like there is a plot, but it's kind of hidden behind what's actually happening on screen. It's very minimal at that. Uh, so atmosphere is an extremely important. Like it's the entire movie's atmosphere and a lot of what they're able to do with that. It's pretty. It's like I said, really low budget. Um, I mean, we were just talking about it before we started recording, and you watched it in a very different way than I did. I saw it in a theater. It was just me and my father. We were the only two there, and other than that, it was completely empty.
Holy
It was
shit!
just a dark pool. Yeah, and it really. I'm not gonna lie, it terrified me. It really did scare me quite a bit, especially like as it went on.
Did your dad
Um,
like it?
but well, yeah, he was like, because he enjoyed the concept, and he was scared by it. He didn't really love it. He was like, not much really happened. I was like, yeah, that's fair. But he enjoyed like the idea of it. Is how he put it.
Yeah, seeing it in a dark, mostly empty theater would have definitely been the ideal experience. We watched it really. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. So it was still pretty.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good too. I mean, like a dark room still is pretty.
Yeah, there was very minimal light, and yeah, um, it didn't really scare me super a lot on like just watching it. But I kind of like the more I thought about it, and like as the days gone by, it kind of freaked me out more. It's a movie that like I think about, and it kind of freaks me out. Because a lot of answers were not given, and I really appreciate that part of the film. I like how minimal it is in its plot and its structure, and there's things you'll notice. Like I've even like noticed stuff that I didn't realize like a week later. And there's so many different ways you can like take the movie in a very literal way. Um,
Yeah,
so
extremely ambiguous, which is really in its favor.
it reminds me a lot of the Blair Witch in the way that like when you watch it, you're either gonna like dig what it's doing or you're just not gonna like it at all. Um,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A lot of people were. I was in a discussion with a couple people about it, and they were like, "There's just not. There's nothing going on, nothing to enjoy." And I was like, "Well, it's really. I mean, it's really similar to the Blair Witch, which I mean, there's obviously a lot more going on in the Blair Witch Project, and there's like more like visually, but it's like it's kind of the same thing. That it's just kind of like a bit of like it's almost an hour and a half of just it's just things happening and people getting kind of scared. It's like a weird. It's weird. It's similar in execution to an extent. But honestly, this is the most unique movie I've seen in a while. There's really nothing else quite like it. It's so different from a
the
lot of things that
fucking
we're used to.
the sound design, it gets me. All the dimly lit hallways and the darkness,
Oh
it
yeah.
gets me. Because we've all had that feeling of being in like an empty house, and especially when you're a child. So I think just like from the moment I heard the plot, just it really intrigued me.
Yeah, it
Um,
really plays into that really well. Like you think about like the fear of like there's so many kids have the fear of that like they're afraid of the dark. They're afraid of being alone and stuff like that, and it plays into that like perfectly. And I would have seen that if I would have seen this when I was like much younger, it would have been like probably the scariest movie I've ever seen, which is why I think this is why I respect a lot of what was happening in it. Um, Great sound design to pair with it. I thought it was really well handled. Um, it is tough to pay attention as you go along throughout it. Uh, because it is a lot of the same thing. It does grow repetitive, which is probably my biggest knock against the movie.
yeah, I mean
Uh,
that's probably my biggest complaint as well. I feel like it could have been way shorter, or at least if it was going to be a whole movie, you probably should have had a bit more something going on. Um,
right, which is
yeah,
a legitimate complaint. So that definitely has to count against it. Um, I do respect the ambition of committing to the bit. You know, he was committed to what he was doing in this form of art, and I do respect that. I respect the ambition with that. But it leads to some pretty glaring pacing flaws, and the repetition would get to you if you can't get into the atmosphere, you would absolutely hate the film. Like that's why so many people dislike it because if you can't catch on like within the first little bit, you're gonna hate it because that's exactly what it like because it's hyper specific, which doesn't necessarily make it objectively bad in my opinion. But it does make it the type of thing that like if like you're not gonna be fully engaged, and then you're just gonna find something. You're not gonna find anything about it that you're really gonna like if you can't latch onto the few things that it has going for it, like in that regard.
yeah, um, yeah. Because there's not many characters in this movie either. I mean, there's the two kids who like you never even see their face. I don't think you even see the parents' faces at all. Um, there's very little time spent on like the family before everything starts going down. You don't even really know what exactly happened to the mother in this situation. It could have been divorce, death, or anything else. There's pretty clear. I don't know if it's metaphors or it's just like there's almost like a hidden story about abuse in this and the loss of childhood innocence. And there's also like a lot of cosmic horror, so like it's a very small scale story, but it really kind of like explores a lot of stuff that you can take away from it that I really appreciated.
Yeah, that was my takeaway as well. My interpretation when watching it and afterward and after letting it sit in my head for a little while, I came around to a lot of different things and definitely about abuse, but it's clearly not a direct take.
Because
A lot of
I
movies
can't even really tell if it is about abuse. If is it about the father abusing them or is it about the mother?
right. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what's so ambiguous about it. My interpretation was the father, which I wasn't sure if it was the father abusing the whole family or even just abusing the mother, and it's the kid's perspective on the outside of watching a parent abuse another parent. Which who knows? That's just kind of what I was thinking coming away from it. But um, because what really brought that home is because the whole idea with like the windows and doors and like the disappeared and all that. It's all like childhood innocence, but also like the isolation of being a child. Like you just when you're alone, and like even in a circumstance, say that there is an abuser, but then they're away from the house. But even when they're gone, their impact on your psyche makes you feel so isolated and you're so alone. Like you really have nothing, and then the darkness just kind of starts to overwhelm you in a way they don't really understand as you're a kid, and then that just it becomes a part of your life as you grow. Um, I thought that was a really interesting take. Um, that formulated in my mind. Obviously, I really am not exactly sure. But of course, that's an idea. That's a possibility. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. the use of the unconventional camera angles and the different ways to shoot it. It's a persistent idea of the unknown and just not really understanding.
Yeah, you quite
Uh,
literally, like, in the way they shoot it, but also in the narrative, you don't get the whole view of the story.
right, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that pairs really well. I thought that was really honestly well done. I mean, and then when you add on the atmosphere, it was really interesting. It doesn't make it perfect, but I thought that was all actually pretty good.
And
Uh,
the fucking scene where I'm pretty sure it was the little girl that she went to her parents' room and like both the parents were like there at like different times and they kept telling her to like look under the bed. That scene was so tense.
Dude, that was like that really got to me. That was a really good moment. That was
Yeah, but then really nothing happened. I don't even know if
yeah.
there was like a legitimate. There was one jump scare that was actually really good. Um,
Yeah, there was one jump scare which was kind of cheap, but it was kind of well handled. When
yeah,
I like that it didn't rely on jump scares at all. It was really just the one.
yeah, and then the whole like 500 days later thing. It really abuses these children. I mean, of course, you don't see it really, because like it also makes the boy like stab his eye at one point. There's that like that scene of like the blood like splattering over and over again, which is like inferring that like every time this entity is killing this child, it's like reversing it and just doing it again. Um,
Yeah,
it basically
extremely disturbing.
treats the kids like toys, and like at the very end like the kid is just like very much like just like, can we please watch something happy, and then it's just like it really just leaves you in such a depressive note. um and even the scene where like the monster makes the kid think he finally reached someone outside the house just to turn the phone into a toy. The monster in this movie, while they don't show it, it's like one of the most sadistic entities I've ever seen in a movie. um at least in recent memory.
Yeah, it was very
I mean, it's like
it was a
abuse,
lot.
very fucking horrific.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to take that. And it was horrifying. I thought that was as far as the horror aspect, it was really well done. That for sure.
Yeah, and then I know that the little fucking cartoons they play throughout the movie, there's a whole significance of that too. And there's also the whole part in the beginning where like the only information we get before everything happens is that the kid fell downstairs. So there's even like theories that it's all in the kid's head, um, and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of different theories that you could make about this. I mean, that's kind of the idea. It's so like
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
it's so open ended.
yeah, because
Like
I know that
it,
I saw an interview with the director, and even he said a lot of it he doesn't even know. He did say though there are some concrete things, but a lot of it is up for your own interpretation. Um, and there's a lot of people that just don't really like movies like that, where they don't really explain everything. You sit down and watch something for like 2 hours. You kind of want um, you kind of want to know what's going on. But I really appreciate it when some movies they don't really spoon feed you stuff, and it's kind of left up to your own interpretation to think about. And I would say this one's definitely one of those. So
yeah, it's definitely it's very much so up to viewer interpretation. And I'm a big fan of films that do stuff like that. It doesn't have to always be so concrete, which is something that I like to preach with movies. It doesn't have to give you all the answers by the end. Sometimes it's better for you to come up with your own. That's kind of
that's
what
what scares
a
me
lot of
more.
films
It
are.
it just it scares me more when there's like something that like it doesn't really make complete sense, and it's really not something we can like comprehend. Um,
Right.
because we've even talked about
It's
that
very
with
terrifying.
yeah. What are you saying?
I mean, yeah, it's very horrifying to me. That's one of the scariest
I mean,
like
yeah,
types of like horror concepts to go with for me at least.
Yeah, just even talking about it now, I mean, like, it's pretty dark out where I'm at right now, and even then, I just kind of like it. It just kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit thinking about it. But yeah, it's not a movie I'd recommend to everyone, but I
Yeah,
think the
no,
director
definitely
has
not.
like a short film kind of based on this concept on his channel. So I mean, I would say if you watch that and you like it, you'll probably like this movie.
Yeah, that was really similar to, I forgot what it was called, but
Yeah,
there's some short film that he made that was similar to this.
I haven't seen it,
And
but I
like
heard about it. So
I haven't actually watched it myself, but um, and apparently this is a long form version of that, and that's just I'm happy that some people are willing to give it a chance. You know, I really respect um, I respect what it is. I respect how ambitious it is. It's intriguing. Um, Obviously, it has its flaws. No, it's not even a great movie really because it's repetitive. It has some serious pacing issues. And like those are real. That's also a part of a movie that you have to watch when you're making something like this. But they were committed to their concept. I think he did a great job. He
I'm
made a very
very,
personal,
I'm
very
very
haunting
interested.
movie.
I'll be very interested in what this director does next, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be watching to see what else he does because this is just very. You can tell he's got a very good mind for horror, at least as far as my tastes are concerned.
Yeah, which I don't know if you
It,
saw what I posted on my story, but I don't know if you know much about the back rooms, but
I've heard people talk about it. I just have never watched it. I've
it's
only heard
such
people
a
talking about
it's
it. It's
such a
never
great
popped up
little.
on my feed or anything. But
Yeah, if you could ever look into it, you should, because I feel like you'd really like it. It's similar to this, where it's about like empty spaces and stuff like that, and like the horror in that. Uh, which
yeah,
they're
I
making a
know some
movie
people were
about
really
that.
excited at
So,
getting a film. Yeah, I know some people were really excited at getting a film adaptation. So I'm thinking I'm gonna check it out.
well, it's also cool because the guy who created all the backroom stuff is a high schooler, and they're bringing him on to direct it. So, that's also pretty exciting.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yeah, because like he's literally he can't direct it until the summer break starts. So,
That's really cool.
I'm really excited to see how that goes. But yeah, to this movie, like I said, I mean, it's probably one of the better movies I've seen this year. I know it's from last year technically, but
Yeah, I know. Technically, it had a festival release, but didn't have a wide release till this year. So I'm considering it in the 2023 group. And so far, it's actually probably my favorite film of 2023. There haven't been that many.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Especially
Like this is like one of my
especially
probably
not many of
standouts
them.
of
But
the year, but like I doubt it'll probably end up being my favorite. Um, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably the only like standout I've seen from this year so far that I've actually enjoyed.
it really stuck with me. So
Megan was terrible. Oh my god.
yeah, I heard you did not enjoy that. Did you see it with someone?
Yeah, it was Trinity.
Oh,
So
everybody liked it apparently. I don't know. They already made it make it a second one. So
Megan 2.0. They're not calling it Morgan for some reason, even though the first one's Mithrigan. That huge missed opportunity.
I think the missed opportunity was not greenlighting that.
The missed opportunity was like letting it happen.
Yeah.
Sucked, dude. Oh my god. Like, I mean, just like every actor in the movie was awful, and that's usually a sign of directing. Because if everybody's that bad, you probably need a better director to keep it. I mean, I don't know. But it was just it was really bad.
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with what the trailers were. And then when people were saying, if you like Malignant, you'll like this, I was like, yeah, good. Everybody fucking loved Malignant. I did not.
Yeah, I didn't like Malignant either. Just like stuff that James Wan this has to do is so like, for the most part, like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
Insidious
Aquaman
5.
was masterpiece, but.
Insidious 5's this year, though, so.
Oh yay!
Yeah.
Awesome. But as far as Skinamarink goes, I appreciate it. I respect it. it has very clear issues, and if you can't get into the atmosphere, you will not enjoy it. And it's gonna be one of your least favorite
Oh,
movies, probably.
the little ending
But
part with the phone, like the little toy phone thing, where like every time the
oh,
light would turn
dude,
off, it was like the little like eyes. I like fucking freaked out. Uh,
I thought that was incredibly well handled. That really really scared me. I'm not gonna.
Cause I don't know. Everybody says it's the monster or whatever. So, but
Yeah, I
again,
mean
nothing
that's
stated. It could just be the phone. So
yeah. I mean,
I forgot
there's
what
so much to it,
letterbox. I forgot what
but also
letterbox
so
review it
little to it.
was, but it was like Skinamarink uh, is what like how Jaws was for water. Skinamarink does for like nightlights. That scene though too when
There's
the
some really
girl
good
finds the
there's some really
nightlight
good letterbox reviews.
when the girl finds the nightlight like unplugged, bro.
There's some really good reviews. A lot of them are just like really long rants of people calling it terrible, giving it a half star. There's a good one. It's like, why are you nerds crying? It's 100 minutes of looking at the corner of a ceiling.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a divisive film to view online.
It's very complex cinema. Very.
Yeah, it's I sound really pretentious saying this, but it's not really a film; it's an experience. Uh,
Wow, you sound pretentious. Shut up.
you know what it'd be, but I recommend it if you feel like you could stomach it.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend it if you can. You can get into it. If you don't enjoy it within the first like 20 minutes, maybe even less, you're probably just not gonna like it. But if you can get into it, I think it's worth it. It
Yeah,
has its issues, but I respect it, and I'm gonna give it probably a 6. It's about a 6 out of 10.
no. I really enjoyed it. I gave it about a 3 out of 5, so that's probably like a 6. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't like give this more than that because I just feel like as a film, it doesn't really come together as well as it could have. Um, but
It doesn't quite all come together structurally, narratively.
it was better
But
than
it
probably
really
like
does have some. It really does have some things to appreciate. If you can just appreciate a different approach to filmmaking, it doesn't just make it bad just because it's different. But I can understand. But
yeah. But even though it's barely a movie, it was still better than probably like half the stuff I saw last year.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, this was better than like the last like Halloween. So, um,
There's nothing better than Halloween Ends. Halloween sucked.
yeah. Sometimes I think about it and I just get really sad. Um, yeah. But to our next topic, it is something much more culturally loved, and that is Breaking Bad, which I watched last year, but Ellis recently finished.
What
Uh,
is Breaking Bad? Just kidding.
it's a Popcorners ad. I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl ad yet because they released it before the Super Bowl for some reason.
Yeah, I've like seen a clip of it. I didn't fully watch it, because I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl and I'm gonna see it then. But like, it
It's
seems
actually
pretty
really
funny.
fun. It's actually pretty funny. It's actually perfect marketing because I'd never heard of those chips before. Have you had popcorners?
I have. I think they're weirdly overrated.
No, they're not even good.
I mean, I like them, but like, it seems like some people eat them and they're like, this is like the best chip I've ever had. And like, maybe I just haven't had the right flavors, but the ones I've had just have not been very good. I mean, I just can't really get behind it. I just don't like it. If I want to eat popcorn, I'm just gonna eat popcorn. The
Oh
reason
yeah,
I
isn't
eat
that what they are?
popcorn
They're just like kind of
is because it's
popcorn
popcorn.
chips.
Yeah, they're popcorn chips, essentially, is what they are. And like, I eat popcorn because it's different from chips. Maybe I'm just weird, but
Yeah, but
oh,
we're gonna talk about the show, which
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 5 seasons. So what are your opinions on about each season?
I mean, it was okay. Kind of on for too long. It was fun.
What are you talking about?
Breaking Bad. I mean, like he didn't even break anything badly. Like he broke things pretty well, like his life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what do you think about each season, or just the whole show, really?
I mean, overall, being serious now, um, it was incredible. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen, easily. It's some of the best storytelling that the medium of television has ever seen. They took full advantage of the way the show was structured. I thought it was fantastic. Character work was great. The direction, structure, great. The acting was fantastic. It's one of the few shows that I watched and like I liked the concept as a show, and I wouldn't even like really care as how it would like because usually I'm more of a movie person, and most shows I'm like I wonder if they could just shorten this concept and make it a movie, but this I was like this is perfect as it's supposed to be, and then obviously it has El Camino, but that's a separate thing. But uh no, it's fantastic across the board. The storytelling throughout was just so great. Literally from beginning to end. Like I was like I've always wanted to watch it. Um, so many people have recommended it to me, and I was like, all right, fine. I mean, I'll eventually check it out. But it's just been so popular for so long, and even people that don't usually respect, um, well, usually people that they don't really care about like a deeper story to things, and they just kind of like things that have action or are funny. Were calling it some of the best show that they'd seen. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll check it out. And then once I finally did, it was so worth it, and it's so rewarding to watch the show all the way through. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a little bit of different perspective because I've also seen the prequel show, which we'll talk about that whenever you get around to that. Which that show also greatly, it actually makes Breaking Bad even better in my eyes. So, uh, but I really like the show. I don't remember why I watched it. I mean, I've also heard about it for a while. I guess just eventually I caved in and started watching it, and I finished it in about a few months. I usually don't binge shows, but I was catching myself watching a few episodes a day. Uh, when I was like first watching this show, I mean, some parts were kind of slow, but by the time I got to the end, just the experience was so rewarding, and I felt like, the beginning of it, the middle of it, and the end of it were all just so solid that there wasn't really like a weak point in the show for me to really point out, which is really surprising for shows to actually pretty much not have a bad season, I would say.
Yeah. It's weird because like there are a lot of shows, obviously, and some go on too long, some get a slow start. But from my experience with this show, the beginning was great. It was incredible introductory work to really set it up. The entire middle was an incredible ride to watch, and then it had a satisfying ending. I mean, honestly, it's just
Yeah, I mean,
it's so complete.
even with El Camino, which I was kind of skeptical about, which even though it kind of just felt like a very long episode of the show, I also really like that. I thought that was also a pretty good ending chapter. Uh,
Yeah, I pretty much only liked it because it felt like a long episode. I mean, I liked it because of what it was, obviously, but it did just kind of feel like a long Breaking Bad episode.
yeah, for sure. Do you have any favorite characters?
I mean,
I
as
like pretty much all the
people,
characters, but yeah.
yeah, actually, I think there isn't a single character I dislike, and I think they're all so important. It's kind of like the same thing with BoJack. I guess, I guess honestly, after everything I've seen so far, I'd probably say Jesse's my favorite character.
Yeah, that's most people's, I feel.
Jesse. As far as like even like there aren't really side characters, but they're all really important. But as far as like I really enjoyed Gus. The presence that he brought to the show was really good. Um, I think Skylar is an underrated character. I know there's a lot of like, oh, Walter White did nothing wrong and all that stuff. Like, but I actually really enjoy like Skylar's foil on the show is really incredible. I think she's great.
Yeah, I don't love Skylar. I don't think she's like a bad person. A lot of the actions in her show are justified. There's a lot of people online that just hate her because she's a woman and stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah.
she's definitely a complicated character, but then again, so is everyone else in this show. I'm not a super big fan of her sister, Marie. She's probably, if there was a character I would say was my least favorite, it would probably be her.
Oh yeah, she's definitely my least favorite. I didn't even. Yeah, I fucking forgot her. I didn't
Even
like her
Walt,
very much.
even Walt Jr., who doesn't really have much in the show, I didn't really connect with him too well. I really like Saul, but that's also because I've seen Better Call Saul. Because Saul wasn't really one of my favorites, but because of that show, he's actually probably in my top two or three. Of course,
Yeah.
I really like.
As someone who hasn't seen Better Call Saul yet, I did enjoy Saul. I didn't really love him, so I mean, obviously that's gonna. I know that'll change when I watch his show, but
Yeah, and I really love Mike too. Mike's great. His death was pretty heartbreaking.
yeah, I did like Mike's character.
I
his
hated
death
the bad
was.
guys.
Devastating.
I hated the bad guys at the end of the last season. They were written well, but it was the Nazi group and the chick. I think their name was like Lydia. They were very good villains
Yeah.
because I hated them a lot. um, yeah,
Yeah, that was also my experience. Really, the character work across the board is incredible in this show. It's one of its strengths, like easily. The
and
storytelling and the character work are just fantastic.
the
It's
whole
just so good.
the whole Gus versus Walt dynamic through the fourth season is it's impeccable writing and acting. Some of the best acting I think I've ever seen. Bryan Cranston is amazing in this show. Um,
His performance is it's breathtaking, honestly.
yeah. Even like Jesse's friends, like Skinny Pete, Badger, they're all great. The things they explored, like drugs and addiction, where I thought were really well handled, especially with Jesse's character in season two with his girlfriend at the time. All the rehab stuff with Jesse was really well done. A lot of it kind of reminded me in BoJack how it showed kind of the ugly sides of rehab in a very well way. Um, uh, they actually made making meth look fun in the earlier seasons. It was actually really well done how they would do their cooking stuff. The RV, of course, is pretty iconic, and also this is a part that I don't think people really talk about much. But when I walked into the show, I didn't know that Walt was going to eventually get his cancer in remission for a while. I guess I just assumed he would have cancer throughout the whole show. But the way that they like show like how his character changes when he goes into remission and then the cancer comes back, I feel like that's a really good part of the show that I don't hear talked about a lot. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I didn't. That was my same perception. I always thought that he just was a cancer patient the entire time. And then watching the show, obviously it flowed a lot more naturally, made a lot more sense because he goes into remission, and then when it comes back, and that's just it was so like oh my god, the character was just so good. Like seeing like the different ways that he acts and the way his character evolves over the show was just it was fantastic, and it's all accentuated. Cranston's performance is so good, and it all brings it together. It's just such a flawed and interesting character that's just so I just love that we can have media with characters this well done and people and stuff like that. I just absolutely love it.
yeah, and I'm just thinking a bunch of seeds here. I especially love Giancarlo Esposito. I think that's how you say it. The guy who plays Gus. His acting is really great for how subdued and menacing his performance is. And the few moments
Oh
where
yeah,
you
for
get his
sure.
backstory and you see his emotions are really good. And Better Call Saul, you see a lot more of that too. I really like how they develop him in that show as well. Um, and like even just like that, this was the one episode we watched before I left town. Box Cutter, his acting in that episode is incredible. Um,
Oh yeah, he was great in that. That's a really good episode. Box cutter. That's a
yeah,
good one.
I didn't mention we haven't mentioned Hank yet. I really like Hank too. The guy who plays him, I haven't seen him in much, but he's really good in this. I especially love like that last like stretch of episodes where like he finally finds out and you get like Hank versus Walt for a couple episodes.
Yeah, I like Hank, and I don't know if people really talk about him. But I really like his character.
Yeah, and I didn't love his whole storyline where he like was kind of like paralyzed for a bit and was constantly trying to get back up. It felt like it went on for quite a while, but that was a pretty good little storyline there.
Yeah, that went on. It went on way longer than I thought it was going to. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, but I definitely it didn't went on longer than I expected.
Yeah. Um, a lot of Jesse's storyline is very emotional, and I feel like that's why a lot of characters really relate to him the most. I mean, people, because he's the most morally, I guess, right character in the show. You can tell a lot of the time he doesn't want to like do the bad things that everyone else is doing around him. Um,
Yeah, but he's just so sucked in, and it's so.
and he trusts Walt.
It's
He
pretty sad.
trusts Walt because he's like a father figure to him throughout the show, and seeing their little dynamic as like a former student and teacher is really well done. I especially love their comedic side in the first season or two. Of course, the show gets darker as it goes on, but those early seasons are not as talked about as the later ones. But it's the light moments that they have in the show in the beginning are actually uh, they're actually really good too. I think. So I especially love the episode 4 Days Out. That's a really good episode. Uh, where they're stuck out in the RV for 4 days.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes in the whole show.
Yeah, and then the one episode I think Ryan Johnson directed that everybody says is the most filler episode of the show, Fly. I really like Fly actually. It's not like the best episode, but it's a really good bottle episode. Um, it has a lot of good character stuff with a very simple plot. Um, yeah,
Right.
and I love pretty much every season finale as well. Um,
Absolutely.
I did not expect the episode at the end of season 2 with the whole plane crash. That was a very unexpected storyline. I did not expect. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty surprising to me too. I wasn't. I
yeah,
definitely really liked it, but it kind of came. It surprised me, but I did really enjoy it.
yeah. The more I thought about it, the more sense it made, and like you think about it. But like when it just happens, when you watch it, it just feels like just feels so random.
I know. It's what's cool is that no matter what like crazy off the wall wild stuff they do, the whole show it always works. It flows so naturally, and it all felt so grounded in a way that just really made it makes it so special. An episode that like just like not I mean just there's a reason that everybody loves the show, and it's so well done. There's so many little aspects to it that is just that have to be done right, that are done right in this show to make it so great. And it's just it like I definitely I'll probably rewatch it again, and not even that long from now, because it was just that great of an experience.
yeah, I know. Uh, as like a fan of filmmaking in general, there's also a lot of cool shots they do and like ways that they edit stuff that I really like too. I don't know if you've noticed any of those throughout the show. Um, I mean, have you at all?
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, and they even continue that at Better Call Saul a lot. But yeah, like there's that one scene where like I don't remember what it was. It was like I think when Jesse was gonna burn down Walt's house, and like they have the camera like on like at the gas tank and like stuff like that. That really good writing team, really good directing team. Having a show like this where it seems like just every single aspect was at its absolute like 100%. It was really good to see, and that's why I was also really glad, as you said, it didn't really go on for too long. Um, they really they really like knew where they wanted to go with everything. Um, so yeah, you there?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I mean, yeah. I completely agree. I completely agree.
yeah, and I know, of course, you haven't started the other show yet, but it's honestly, it's once you finish Better Call Saul, it's honestly it gets kind of hard to like tell which show I like better. It kind of changes from day to day sometimes, but yeah, just the writing team on this, they really knew how to make a great story because this is also just like entirely original, which I also love. It's not like based on anything. It's just a story they came up with one day, and it just they really crafted it to their best ability. And of course, all the memes are very good to see as well. They've some pretty good memes in the community. Um,
Yeah. I mean, clips from the show were used in memes literally everywhere. It's kind of crazy, actually.
yeah, and the show's like it's 15 years old, I think, and it's still as popular as it is. And like as we're seeing now, the Super Bowl for this year, they brought back these two to play these characters again for like a minute long ad, just because of how popular it still is. Um, yeah, it's also just crazy to think about because it's like a minute long ad, and if that whole ad's at the Super Bowl, what isn't it like 50 million like for like just one ad?
Yeah, for like a 30-second time slot, it's like somewhere in the tens of millions. So,
Yeah,
and then like it because the Super Bowl ads are like insane.
yeah. Gotta admit though, Jesse's wardrobe is a little bad. Uh, he wears some weird ass clothes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, no, I guess an underrated storyline that I really liked was Jesse's parents. It wasn't explored a lot, but when it was pretty. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good little extra side plot to like
Yeah,
just to throw in there. But like even that, like even like the little things that aren't fully expanded upon, I think they're really well handled and they're brought out just enough for you to enjoy. Like that's a great example.
oh, yeah. There's even that
I think,
scene where I think it's between Walt and his son, where he explains how he saw his father in like the last few months of his life, and like it really actually explains his reason to not want treatment really well. It was really profound, and there's just so many little character stuff and like conversation moments that really they really stick out as some of the best TV writing I've seen. Um, and I don't think there's really anything I would change about this show either. Like I can't really think about one thing that I just really wish wasn't didn't go how it did. So yeah,
yeah, I don't think there's anything I would change. Honestly, I mean, maybe little things, but I mean, it's just so the end experience was so good that like that's what I like about a great TV show. Once you get to the end, I mean, even like the little things that you maybe didn't love as much and you would maybe want to change. I mean, as long as it's handled like in a satisfying way, you don't really mind because it's just so good. And this is one of those shows. It's fantastic. That's definitely one of the shows I've seen. Easily probably like top three.
I don't know. I stopped watching Breaking Bad when the pizza died.
Oh yeah, pizza on the roof.
Yeah,
When Allie sent me that, I lost my mind. She was like, "Oh, I can get it now, pizza on the roof thing." I was like, "What? Wait, what?"
yeah. She really got into that song after she watched it. I don't know. I've also started watching The Walking Dead for like actually. I sit down and watch all of it. I'm only on season 2, and it's still good right now, but I'm not. It's going to be hard to get through 11 seasons, so. That's why I prefer a
Yeah.
show like this where it doesn't really like just keep going, so because the network wants more episodes. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot more we could probably talk about, but I'd probably have to think about that more. I mean, do you have anything else you want to add?
I mean, not really. I don't really have much else. It's a great show. I recommend it to everybody.
Uh,
Like
I guess
it's great.
before we end, what's like maybe your best episode, and if you have a least favorite episode, what would that be?
Um. Well, let me think. I
There's a lot.
guess. mm, So my favorite episode. So this is what I was thinking when I got to the end of the show. I was like, I was really running through my mind. I was like, which episodes were like actually my favorite? Um, and when it really came down to it, I think the two episodes I enjoyed the most were, well, at least yeah, were Face Off from season 4,
Yeah,
um, and then the kind of cliche choice of Ozymandias from toward the end of the show. Were my two were the two that I probably enjoyed the absolute most.
yeah, yeah. I would
I
agree with
thought
that.
that I thought I would have picked Face Off, but that moment when when Walt's on the phone with Skylar, um, and he's like realizing that the police are definitely listening, and Bryan Cranston's delivery in those scenes to kind of in a way to just bring it all together, and like the way he understands that moment and everything he has to do. And it's just the way you just see the end of the Heisenberg Empire. It's just like that was just an amazing moment. And I was like, okay, now I understand why everybody loves the episode so much, and just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I
So
really love the episode after that. Ozymandias, uh, where it's mostly
yeah,
Walt in hiding. I really like that episode too, where it's like right before the finale.
yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what the last two episodes feel like. Because like Ozymandias feels kind of like the series finale, and then like the last two episodes almost feel like kind of like an epilogue, um, in a lot of ways. Um,
Yeah, that's true. And if I had to pick a least favorite episode, um, uh, I, I mean, Fly definitely wasn't great, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, there was one in season 3 where Walt tries to break into an office or something, and he's like,
oh, because of Ted or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, that episode was kind of had some cringe moments.
yeah, I really like that one. There was one shortly after the box cutter episode. I don't know, Open House. I didn't like that one either. That one wasn't very good.
Wasn't that one about Marie, kind of, from what I remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there really aren't. I don't think there's any bad episodes of the show. Um,
Yeah, that reminds me. There's a lot of good dark comedic beats as well. Because there's I think it's like in season 1, where it's like right after Walt kills the one guy in the Jesse's basement. Like he gets back to his house, and Skylar's complaining about Marie stealing something, and like how much she disdains stuff like that. And he's like, "So you would would you disown me if I did that type of stuff?" And she's like, "I would be pretty close to." And he's just like, "I just murdered a person."
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a least favorite episode, but I definitely probably have a least favorite season, which is probably season 2. A lot
Season
of
2,
a
yeah.
lot of the earlier episodes of that season kind of feel like they're trying to figure out how to really get this story moving in a longer episode season. Because there's a lot of things to think about that are pretty crazy. Because I guess initially they were going to kill off Jesse in the first season. I don't know if you heard about that, but
Yeah, I did hear about that, which was definitely the right call not to do so.
Aaron Paul
I'm
is a
really curious
very
to see
very good
what the
actor.
show would have done if they would have done that show.
Yeah, Aaron Paul's really underrated. He's really good in this. He's really good at BoJack. I mean, that's about all I've seen him in, but he's really good at both.
Yeah, he's fantastic in both. I'm kind of curious to what else he's done because he's really great in both of these shows, which are two of like my favorite shows ever now. So
Yeah, and then if I had to pick some favorite episodes, it'd probably be obviously Ozymandias, but if not those, I of course really love the finale of the show. Felina's really good.
oh
Really,
yeah,
really good last conversations with a lot of characters. I,
really good wrap up, really good ending.
yeah, I really love Face Off too. That's a really good episode. I really love the train heist episode. That's a good one. Um, that's like in season 5. I don't know if you've seen that one. Oh wait, no, you have totally. Or you remember that one?
Which one?
The train heist.
Oh yeah, I love that episode. I love that like saga. That was really good.
Yeah. Of course, I really like the pilot. It's one of the better TV pilots I've seen. Most shows have pretty bad pilots, like Rick and Morty. That's like easily the worst episode of that entire show. I really like the episode. I think it might be like episode 6 of season 1, where it's Walt blowing up Tuco's like whole like building. That was a really good episode. Um, there's so many good episodes. I of course love Better Call Saul. The first episode of Saul in it was really good.
Yeah.
The episode at the end of season
I'm,
3 was really
I'm
good too.
excited to start Better Call. I'm definitely excited to start Better Call Saul.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons of Better Call Saul are a lot of building stuff up, but like season 3 through 6, it has some seasons that are better than some of the best seasons of Breaking Bad. So, really great character stuff in that. Uh, and I really love the last 2 episodes of season 3, where it's about the whole Jesse ultimately killing Gale. Those were really good episodes, really tense. Um, but yeah,
There's a lot of great episodes to choose from. I mean, there's so many different arcs that are just so well done, and it's just such a great overall experience. I mean, it's depressing. That's
yeah, that's what Ali said.
it's
She said season 5 was really depressing, and it is. But like the
it's
show, like
depressing.
yeah,
It's dark. It's like it's got like, but it's so good. It's so well done.
yeah. I mean, it's like similar to BoJack, which gets really like dark, but like I just really enjoy the story. So, um,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah. I think I've probably watched the show like twice, but I can definitely see myself watching this multiple times throughout the rest of my life. I love introducing it to people and talking about it with people who've seen it. But yeah,
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's one of the best shows ever made, really. I mean, that I've seen at least. So
yeah.
I would recommend it to everybody.
Oh,
I think it's fantastic.
I really love that episode in season 3 too. Season 3 as well, where Hank gets shot up by the twins in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, that too. That was really
One
good.
minute, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones. I want to eat at Los Polos Hermanos really bad, uh, but I cannot, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I forgot about this episode since you like Gus so much. I really like the episode where it's about him and the cartel's backstory. That one was pretty good too. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
Crawl Space is also really good too. Uh, that's like at the end of season 4, I think.
yes,
Yeah, that's a lot of people's favorites as well. Bryan Cranston's acting in that little crawl space at the end, where like he's crying and then laughing, is so good.
the acting is actually like it's exceptional. throughout the show.
Yeah, it's so funny. He was the dad for Malcolm in the Middle, and then he did this, and then now more people remember him for this than Malcolm in the Middle, which was his like his biggest concern going into this show. Um,
Right.
yeah, I haven't really seen too much of Bryan Cranston past this show. I don't really know what he does now. Um,
I mean, he was in Godzilla.
yeah, which I hadn't watched Breaking Bad when I saw that, so when everybody was upset about it, I was confused. But now that like I've seen this, I am definitely very upset that they just killed him off in the first like 40 minutes of that movie.
Yeah.
Right after Breaking Bad ended too. I can only dream of him living in that movie and like him actually being a part of the entire MonsterVerse as a whole would have been amazing. But put it down in life's biggest mistakes, probably.
Yes.
Ellis with the best input.
Top tier, I know.
Controversial, I know.
Live reaction.
On God?
I mean, if you think so.
Yeah, but I guess I'd give the show probably a 5 out of 5. I mean, I guess there's some problems with it probably if I really look into it, but it's pretty much a perfect experience. It's really great, even just rewatching it. If you haven't watched it yet, I don't really know what you're doing. So, yeah. Do you have any final thoughts?
I still don't know what bad he broke. I don't know if there was like a board like that said bad on it that he broke or something, but
It's gonna be really funny when you watch Better Call Saul, and the first episode of Walt and Jesse in it are called Breaking Bad.
that's the name of the first episode.
The first episode of Breaking Bad where Saul appears is called Better Call Saul, but then the first episode in Better Call Saul where Walt and Jesse appear is called Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'll definitely like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, after watching Breaking Bad. It really adds a lot, so it'll be exciting to talk about that as well. Also, forgot to mention the best character in both these shows, Huel, A tier character.
I'm not.
Hmm.
No comment.
You don't
No
like
comment.
you don't like Huel?
No comment.
Are you happy, Huel? Reasonably.
You have rights.
Alright, well, that'll probably be the end for this week. Next week we'll be talking about Toy Story 5. I'm just kidding.
No.
Along with Frozen 3. Disney is running out of ideas. I like how they announced all these movies nobody wanted to win. If there was any sequel people might want, it might have been another Incredibles. Maybe.
I can't wait for Incredibles 6.
I just want them to keep making Incredibles movies because then each time the logo will change because they'll just have like another slit in the eye. Like Incredibles like 8. It's just like so many slits.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good to be back. It's all good to be even actually recording the movies. It's been a little bit. Maybe we'll have some talk about next week. Who knows? It's pretty dry right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing in the foreseeable future I see us having, unless we watch something older and talk about it, I mean, we can talk about the new Ant-Man at some point when it comes out, and if both of us see it. I'm not super into rushing out to go see it, but I'll probably see it. I don't know if you saw, but AMC, I guess, is starting to, like, change their pricing for what seat you sit at, which
Yeah,
is
Elijah Wood's very upset about it.
yeah, it's very stupid.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, but
Why you go to Cinemark now? Um,
that's true. I do mainly go to Cinemark. The closest AMC to me is like Johnston.
yeah, the thing is, the closest movie theater to me is an AMC. So,
That sucks. I'm sorry.
but they have an IMAX, so it's whatever.
I guess that bounced up.
Yeah, I mean, well, yep. We'll be seeing what we have coming up here soon. We'll definitely be cooking up something. Uh,
Let him talk.
Let him cook that whole fucking beef. Yeah, Walt.
In the end, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, you can subscribe. You can also leave a like and comment your thoughts. We do this somewhat regularly.
Just make sure to not subscribe to Justin Games at all.
You can. He's a good guy.
Have you guys been doing your own podcast as well?
We have the one.
Okay.
We haven't done anything since then.
Did you guys get views on the first one?
I don't know. I haven't checked. Maybe.
All right. Well, we'll end this here. What?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you guys soon. And anything else?
That's a wrap.